The studio audience had expected a lighthearted and joyful episode when Shania Twain appeared on Kelly Clarkson's show, but from the very start, there was a subtle tension that nobody could ignore. Kelly greeted Shania warmly, but beneath the surface, both women carried unspoken emotions. The country music icon sat tall, her smile polite but tight, while Kelly's energy seemed slightly forced. Viewers at home couldn't have guessed how quickly that tension would escalate into an unforgettable confrontation. The conversation began smoothly, with Kelly asking about Shania's new projects and her experiences on tour. Shania responded with grace, but her tone hinted at a simmering frustration. Perhaps it was exhaustion from travel, or perhaps deeper issues had been brewing beneath the surface. The host tried to keep the interview playful, but every answer Shania gave seemed edged with irritation, as though she was tired of answering the same repetitive questions. The audience shifted uneasily as the atmosphere grew heavier. What truly sparked the clash was a question Kelly thought was harmless. She asked about Shania's long-standing reputation as the queen of country pop, and whether younger artists threatened that crown. Shania, instead of laughing it off, bristled. She leaned forward, her eyes sharp, and delivered a fiery response about how she had paved the way for many of today's stars. The crowd gasped at her intensity. Kelly tried to smooth things over, but Shania's passion had already ignited. The tension spiraled further when Kelly attempted to joke about their vocal styles. She teased that Shania's voice had inspired countless karaoke performances that didn't always sound flattering. Shania did not find it amusing. Instead, she snapped back, pointing out how difficult it was to replicate her vocal control and songwriting depth. Kelly, usually quick-witted and calm, looked genuinely startled by the sharpness of Shania's reply. The playful banter was gone, replaced by raw defensiveness. The air in the studio grew thick as the audience exchanged uneasy glances. Shania's voice rose with frustration, and Kelly, though visibly uncomfortable, stood her ground. Their words overlapped, escalating from disagreement into something more heated. Producers scrambled backstage, unsure whether to cut to commercial. Shania's emotions spilled over as she declared she was tired of being diminished, tired of comparisons, tired of interviews that seemed to overlook her artistry. The passion in her tone silenced even Kelly for a moment. Trying to regain control, Kelly spoke with a steady but strained voice, insisting she had meant no disrespect. Yet Shania seemed unconvinced. Her eyes flashed with anger as she reminded everyone of her decades of success, her awards, her legacy. The crowd was caught between awe and discomfort, realizing they were witnessing a confrontation unlike anything daytime television normally aired. Kelly's attempts at humor fell flat, and Shania's frustration only deepened, creating an unstoppable momentum toward conflict. Finally, Shania stood, her chair scraping loudly against the stage floor. The sudden movement shocked the audience into silence. Kelly's hand reached out, as though to stop her, but Shania shook her head firmly. "I don't need this," she said, her voice echoing across the studio. With that, she turned toward the exit. Gasps filled the room as cameras tried to follow her. The live tension was palpable, a moment frozen in time, impossible to ignore or forget. As Shania walked off stage, the audience sat stunned, unsure whether to applaud, gasp, or remain silent. Kelly's expression was a mix of disbelief and hurt, her professional mask struggling to stay in place. She looked toward the producers, who scrambled to cut to a commercial break, but the image of Shania's retreating figure lingered. It was the kind of unscripted drama that couldn't be edited out, the kind of raw humanity that made viewers feel they had witnessed history. Backstage, crew members rushed after Shania, but she was firm in her decision. She did not want to return, did not want to continue the conversation. For her, the moment had crossed a line, and she felt standing her ground meant walking away. Her departure was not just physical but symbolic, an act of reclaiming her dignity. Meanwhile, Kelly sat alone on stage, the weight of the confrontation heavy on her shoulders, trying to summon words that would salvage the show. When the broadcast returned from commercial, Kelly addressed the audience with poise, though her voice betrayed a hint of sadness. She acknowledged that sometimes emotions run high and conversations become heated, even among professionals who admire one another. Her words were careful, respectful, and gracious, but everyone could feel the tension that still hung in the air. Shania's absence was obvious, a shadow over the remainder of the episode. Kelly pressed on, but the spark had faded. Outside the studio, word of the clash spread rapidly. Clips circulated online within minutes, capturing the exact moment Shania stood and stormed off. Fans debated endlessly, some siding with Shania, admiring her fiery defense of her legacy, others supporting Kelly, believing the host had been unfairly attacked. Social media lit up with hashtags, commentary, and memes, turning the moment into a cultural flashpoint. The story became bigger than the show itself, a headline impossible to ignore. Industry insiders speculated about what this meant for Shania's public image. Some believed it painted her as overly sensitive, unwilling to laugh at herself, while others argued it showcased her strength and refusal to be diminished. Kelly, meanwhile, was praised for her composure under pressure, though critics noted her attempts at humor may have unintentionally provoked the clash. The debate only fueled the fire, ensuring the confrontation stayed at the top of trending lists. In the days that followed, fans and critics alike dissected every detail, from body language to tone of voice. Analysts replayed clips on talk shows, asking whether Kelly had crossed a line or Shania had overreacted. The confrontation became a prism through which audiences projected their own ideas about respect, ego, and female rivalry in the entertainment industry. Both women, respected in their fields, suddenly found themselves at the center of a storm they had never intended. Shania released a brief statement later, explaining that she had felt cornered and disrespected in the moment, and walking away was her way of protecting herself. She emphasized her admiration for Kelly as a singer and host but acknowledged that sometimes emotions overwhelm reason. Her words softened the narrative slightly, though the image of her storming off remained etched in people's minds. Fans appreciated her honesty, even if they were divided about her choice. Kelly also addressed the incident during a later show, making it clear she held no ill will toward Shania. She admitted she may have pushed too hard with her questions, though her intentions were never malicious. Her vulnerability resonated with audiences, who praised her willingness to take responsibility. Both women, in their own ways, used the aftermath to demonstrate grace and humanity, though the memory of the clash would continue to echo for years to come. In the end, the confrontation between Shania Twain and Kelly Clarkson became one of the most talked about daytime television moments of the year. It reminded audiences that behind the polished smiles and rehearsed interviews are real people with emotions that cannot always be contained. For Shania, walking off was an act of defiance and self-respect. For Kelly, staying calm in the face of conflict showed her strength. Together, they created a moment of unforgettable television history.